I'm Joe Krein, and I'm back with Patsy Anderson. Patsy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Okay, hey, Patsy, how sacred is the upstairs? I mean, just recently somebody did a magazine article saying how back in '85 she went upstairs. Uh,
Yes,
do people go upstairs at Graceland?
very, very few. Very few. Even those on the staff. There's very few that go upstairs. In fact, while I was there, you could have counted it on one hand, and it equaled about four. That was about it. And now we did have had a cleaning staff that had to go up and clean. But they were they were watched at all times, and the cleaning was done, on a long-term basis. They didn't go up all every week. Um, it's a very and it feels sacred when you go upstairs. It feels that you there's a respect, a real respect there, and I think the fun thing about that is that I think it's the prettiest part of the home. It's really 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 gorgeous, and I love Priscilla's dressing room, the bathroom. It's gorgeous,
Mm.
and and I just but it is very sacred. I know. Excuse me. When I was there, it took you know you had to really be involved in something that you need to be upstairs for. Now Todd and I went upstairs because we were doing an exhibit, the vignettes. We were
Right.
doing that, and so we went upstairs to to pull things. However, you know, we also now David Keith. He starred as Elvis in Heartbreak Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I took David up. Excuse me. I took David up, and Dale Metcalf, who was starring in Elvis and me.
Right.
Um, he went upstairs, but basically that was the actors, so they could get an ambiance of the part they were playing.
I was going to ask if
Um,
Kurt Russell, but no, Kurt Russell got to wear the jumpsuit.
yeah, he did. He does. He's not been upstairs, to my knowledge. So, but what a great guy. I really like him. He called me one day at Graceland, and I was thrilled to death. But anyway,
Oh, who wouldn't?
but
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, he was thrilled. I was thrilled, absolutely.
Now
But
the comedian went up. The comedian went upstairs too. Who's on Taxi?
well, John Rivers went upstairs. Several of those that were close friends with Elvis and had, some real, you know, feeling there. It was, and it was few and far between. I mean, it was very few and far between. Few celebrities have gone upstairs. Very few.
Yeah.
And Lisa's very protective of it, which I don't blame her. Now she and Michael Jackson, were upstairs. She took Nicolas Cage
Of
upstairs,
course. Yeah.
and but they were her husbands, so therefore, you know, but they also had a huge respect and love and admiration for Elvis. So, but you get that feeling when you go up. There's just an ambiance there of respect when you
Has
go
it ever
upstairs.
been talked about opening the upstairs when you
It
were
has
there?
been, yes, we did discuss it.
And the
And I
reason?
do, until I do think eventually that will happen. I don't know if I'm happy about it, probably not.
Right.
But I do think that eventually that will happen because, you know, you've got to have some sort of new element. And the upstairs is basically all that's left. And the only thing is that it has to, the reason the architect told us that the main staircase would have to be restructured because it's not built to endure that amount of traffic up and down. And you could actually, though, take everyone up that staircase and come down the staircase in the kitchen. But then you also have to look at the insurance problems because
Right.
if you have someone fall, you're in you're in serious trouble. So there's a lot of things to be considered before that you know is finalized because there's a lot of things that have to be really thought about and worked out
Mm-hmm.
before you get to that. But I do think probably one day will. And the staircase coming down in the kitchen, there's no problem because it is supported by two walls. The main staircase is not.
Right.
So,
It's considered almost a
yeah,
floating staircase.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And it just to not handle the amount of traffic. It just it would probably fall off the walls. So, but you know, I do think eventually that will happen. I just don't know when. And like I said, I'm probably not happy about it.
Yeah.
However, though, I can sit here and say that because I've been upstairs.
Right.
Other huge, other huge fans have not. So I can understand them, take me out, Patsy. Guess what?
Yeah. Hey,
So I know I was blessed, and I've been the lucky one. So, in fact, one of the fans told me, said, "You've got to be the luckiest Elvis fan that's ever lived." And I do think so. I do think I am.
hey, how much does Lisa Marie and Priscilla have to do with Graceland?
They actually have more to do with it now than they did, when we were privately owned, which I'm assuming is because, the intellectual property, 85% of it was sold, or is, of the estate, 85% was sold as intellectual property. And I think that owner says, hey, you've got to be a little more visible to the fans. And they have been, which is a good thing. It's been a very good thing.
Well, I think Lisa's grown up a lot.
I think she has as well. She's, I got to tell you a funny thing that happened. I was with her, what was that, last June or June before that anyway, and we were talking and having a great conversation, just kind of, giggling about things. And I had read in the rag mags that Danielle was engaged. And I looked at her and I said, so Danielle's engaged. I mean, because we've known this kid since she was born, but we knew her as, we call her Danielle. Her name's Riley. They call her Riley now. And I didn't say Danielle. I said, and so Riley's engaged now. That's amazing, Oh, my gosh, Joe. The room went to ice.
Really?
And, ice. And she said, well, I don't know. I guess you'll have to ask her the next time you see her. Well, since I haven't seen her since she was like 12, that probably won't be anytime soon. But I mean, I thought it was so funny because I've never, ever had someone's, I guess, spirit
Right.
that they're alluding to you change so quickly. I mean, so quickly. And I was laughing. I said, well, I guess I won't ask that question of her ever again.
Hey,
But it was really
okay.
quite funny.
Do you think Elvis's artifacts have been respected?
They are now. There was a time when we opened it that they were not, but they were being cared for as much as everyone knew how.
Right.
And we've had some things disappear.
Well, that's right where I was getting into. I mean, like the crystal cubes on the were things being stolen
table?
when you were there too?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh.
And some of the things were done by employees, and and they left with them, and you can't prove it, but you know that something, you have your feelings on it, and as they left, the other thing left too. So it's kind of and so things have lost, but it's gotten fewer and fewer all the years that have come by. It's gotten fewer and fewer. The cubes were actually taken by visitors, and so now, there's TV cameras everywhere now, closed circuit cameras, and you probably don't want to do that now. So anyway, but
I would love to catch the fan, the so-called. That's not a fan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's really not. They're being very selfish. It's a very selfish fan that would take something like that.
I mean, even today, there are people who have hurt. When I was there last, the manager, because I got a special tour. No, I did not get to go upstairs. But I got a special tour, and we went into the racquetball court, and the leather chairs up at the soda fountain. She spun one of the chairs around to show me a square of leather that was cut out.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, with other things like that, did it ever happen? People take out chunks of carpet, or
we have had to replace the carpeting. Going from the pool rooms back upstairs to the jungle room, that wall has been made bald. I mean, and we've had, and the bad thing about that is that you have to have that same carpeting done again, which means it's out of style. It's not being produced, at random now. So they had to put machinery back up to redo that, and it's very expensive. And so we started trying to keep our eyes peeled on that because people were pulling the fibers out of the, it's shag carpeting, and they were pulling the strings out. And actually, had times where there were bald spots in the carpeting. And then coming into the entry hall, the grass cloth around the mirrors as you're standing there, right there where Vernon and Gladys's room is located.
Right.
The guest had begun to peel around the mirrors, the grass cloth, and taking chunks of it. And we had to replace that, and it cost, just for that entry hall, it cost $8,000 to replace it.
Just because of so-called fans.
Yeah, exactly. Taking little souvenirs, and leaves on the lawn I can live with, but I can't live with when you're destroying Elvis's house or things that he loved.
I was surprised when you said to me off mic that they replaced of course they replaced the carpeting in the jungle room because of age,
yes.
But they also replaced the carpeting on the ceiling.
Yes, yes, and I think that the reason for that is that we had some leaks, and and mildew starts in the mold, and you can't have that.
No, it happens.
It happens, and so that's an unfortunate thing. But it's just called keeping everything up to date and keeping things good.
Right.
And we have had problems because it's a flat roof on top, and flat roofs are really difficult as they age not to leak, and so we've had that problem there.
Hey, it's still a home, and you got to keep a home up,
You really do. You still have to maintain it as a home, absolutely,
right.
And it is in every sense of the word. It's still Elvis's home, and I think everyone doesn't they feel that.
Right. Hey, have you ever had a fan try to go upstairs?
Yes.
Please, can you tell me?
We've had them break loose and go upstairs. I never had one get as close as some have, but the door's locked upstairs. You're not going to go anywhere. So you're going to be pulled right back downstairs.
And then made to leave.
Pardon?
Do they then make you leave? I would
yes,
think.
They make you leave. Yeah, they escort you out then, absolutely, or either walk with you you're escorted all the way through, And everyone knows, hey, she did it, or he did it. But we also have had them jump in the pool, and that's a scary thing because that pool is full of chemicals, big time, because no one uses it any longer.
Right.
You may come out with all your skin dropping off. I mean, we're like, oh my God. So I tried to pass the word, tell everyone, don't jump in the pool. Not a wise thing to do.
Now, did you ever have, I know because you showed bands and that, I know you two had been there and that, and did any of them ever try to get away with things because of who they were?
Really they haven't. Most celebrities are very, very respectful. You have no problem with them whatsoever. And the only person that there were two celebrities that I thought should have a swift kick in the butt.
Okay.
And the first one was Boy George. He was rude to all of our guests. And I thought, if you didn't want the guests to recognize you, why did you come in full drag, okay?
Right.
Makeup, the dress, the whole 9 yards. Why didn't you just come as him?
Right.
But, I mean, he was calling really bad four-letter words to our guests because they were yelling, and it was just not necessary. And the other was Rick Springfield. Rick was...
Really?
I wasn't impressed with Rick. I think I'm more impressed with Rick as he's gotten older. But at that time, I wanted to knock him in the head. But
was this when he was big?
Oh, yeah. And he thought he was bigger than he thought he was. I mean, he thought he was bigger than he was. But anyway.
Well, what did he do? He was just rude, or? He
was rude and shot the birds into his fans. I'm like, what are you thinking? And if he left, I was just seething and just totally seething. And Billy Smith was staying there with me, and I said, what a jerk.
Yeah.
And he saw Patsy. He said, don't be too hard on him. He doesn't know where his bread is buttered yet.
Yeah.
And I said, tell me, did you ever see Elvis Presley act that way? Ever? And he stopped and he said, no, you're right.
No. Hey, Patsy, give me another song.
Oh, it has to be, it has to be the dance, but I know you probably don't have that one. But anyway, and it's not Garth Brooks' dance, but anyway. But I probably was, I can't help falling in love with you. That just seemed to be a signature song for him.
Okay, you got it.
And
I'm back with Patsy Anderson. Patsy, why did you leave?
you know, I have learned a great lesson with this, and I would admonish everyone: do not make life-altering decisions when you're angry. Don't do that.
Oh,
That is a stupid thing to do. Go sleep on it for a couple of thousand days. you know? And basically what it was, I had a great salary. I cannot complain about what Graceland paid me whatsoever. Anytime you can pay all your bills and still have money to play with, you're doing well. And I had that. But we had hired a manager 2 years previously, and I learned he was making $20,000 more than I. And it really it irritated me because I felt like it was sexual discrimination.
right.
And I was not happy about it, and especially since, and this person's a great, great person. He's wonderful. I love him to death, love his family. There's no, and I don't blame him for taking it. Absolutely, you know. But it just irritated me that I had been there so very long. He had been there 2 years, and I was instructing him on everything. I was going into meetings with him to make sure that, you know, he learned what was going on and how Elvis was, et cetera, et cetera. You know, how we were, you know, producing, you know, different souvenirs, et cetera, and or different collectibles, and which was fine. I mean, I had no problem with doing that whatsoever. But when I found that he was making $20,000 more, I said, "You either raise me in the ballpark, or I'm gone." And they refused, and so I packed up in 45 minutes and walked out.
I bet you wish now that you could take that back so many times.
You know, I really do, because I think that at least if you're there, you have some sort of vote on what's happening. You know, now I have no vote. I have no dog in the fight whatsoever, and but they're still very nice to me. I want everyone to know that Graceland still treats me very nicely.
Uh-huh.
I love all of them there. They're wonderful human beings, and they're doing a great job. And you know, but
I can
but
tell you loved the house, though. You loved Graceland.
Yeah, I do. I love Graceland. Yeah, no doubt about it. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold, but anyway. But I love Graceland, and I respect it because Elvis loved it so. That was his home. That's where he wanted to be, and you know, he didn't miss a Christmas. He wasn't in Graceland.
Right.
That was his home, and it had wonderful memories of his mom and dad there and everything. So I just think that ought to be preserved really big time, and I don't know that there's a lot of the staff that have that same compassionate feeling that I do, and that kind of bothers me. Because I think you have to have an identity with Elvis to preserve his legacy in a really classy, meaningful way, and so, you know, I probably wouldn't have done it had I, you know, slept on it a little while and gone on, but it just irritated me so badly. It was just kind of a sexual discrimination thing,
Right.
And I did not go to Jack. I should have gone to Jack, because, and I thought about it, but I thought, well, you know, why would you go? Because Jack and I were great friends. You know, Jack's a good guy. He does wonderful things. I don't agree with all of his business decisions, and he knows that. I made that very well known while I was there. And then since, I've made it very well known.
Okay.
But the thing about it is that, you know, I just felt very strongly about the principle thing. And principle's good, but when it, you know, sometimes no one pays any attention to your principle. And it, you know, and it didn't change a thing. My lawyer wanted me to sue Graceland. He said, "You've got a great lawsuit here. You need to sue." And I said, "I'm not going to sue Graceland." I said, "Why would I want to do that to Lisa and Priscilla and to Jack and my good friends? Why would I do that?" And he said, "Because," he said, "in corporate America, if you don't sue, they continue doing it to others." And I said, "Well, let others sue. I'm not going to sue."
Did you ever ask to go back?
No. You know, I don't know that, you know, I don't know if I'd be really happy there now, just due to some of the philosophy that's changed.
Okay.
I think I'd be very, very frustrated all the time. So I don't know, that's a good thing. And I'm doing some wonderful things. You know, there's some really fun things that's going to happen with Elvis's Chino Canyon home in Palm Springs, and I'm working with that.
Oh, cool.
And then also we're doing a reality show, which is going to be great. So I'm doing some really fun projects that I'm just excited about. And we want to put, the Chino Canyon thing into the reality show, which will be a good thing for the fans as well.
Hey.
So I still love the fans, still keep them in my mind.
Hey, do you have, when you're with family, is there a funny story that happened to you in Graceland that you tell all your family members? Is there anything that you'd like to just tell the listeners? Because we're going to be closing this now. Is there a funny story that you would just like to leave us with?
Oh my gosh, let me think here.
Well, while you're thinking, did you ever have any bad run-ins with the family, or have you always been good with the family?
Oh, I've always had a wonderful relationship with the family. Absolutely wonderful. I never had any run-ins with any of them. I loved Aunt Nash. She was wonderful and so very kind to me. Uncle Earl was fabulous to me. They've been nothing but good to me, and I love and respect all of them. But I think maybe the funny thing is we set the jungle room on fire.
What?
Oh my God! we set it on fire.
How'd you do that?
Well, we were doing a shoot with Priscilla, and I was Priscilla's double and stand-in for everything. So she and I got to be very close friends because we would work together, just she and I. I mean, no one else was around but the crew, And so she and I got to be very, very close. And she would talk to me about things that I cherish. But we were shooting in the jungle room, and a light exploded, and it set everything on fire.
Oh my God!
It's funny. I'm going, God, we just set Graceland on fire.
Was there actual damage?
No, thank God, because everything's fur. We set the sofa on fire. We set the the carpeting on fire. Everything was on fire. And but it was little fires. It wasn't huge,
Right.
little fires.
But you did it.
And so they got but I'm panicking. And apparently Priscilla was very used to this happening because she's been on set so many times and probably seen that happen a million times. It was my first experience. It did not make me happy. And I we set the place on fire.
Hey, did you ever have problems with the waterfall on the wall there?
Yes, it would not. It leaked for a while, and Mark actually got in there and got it all fixed, and we did find a copperhead in it. Oh Lordy!
Did you really?
Yeah, because there's copperheads there, and there was even one on as you go through down the hall to view the jungle room. We cut the viewing window. We had to cut when Elvis was there. That viewing window was not there. It was
really?
A solid wall.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a solid wall.
Okay.
So we cut that in there for the viewing purposes. But if you've noticed to your left, there's some steps that go up to a door, and that door actually goes into the lower part of the kitchen, And there was a rattlesnake curled up on that top step one day. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh Lordy, and I'm scared of snakes. Now I'll tell you what. If there's a snake around, that Patsy's nowhere within 50 miles. I can tell you. And I was in the pool room one day doing stills, and I was filling in for a tour guide, and the security came in. They were kind of in between groups. They'd come in and start looking. I said, "What are you guys looking for?" And they said, "Well, Aunt Delta thought she saw a snake in here this morning." Excuse me. So I just moved my stuff right on outside in the hallway and told everyone, "Go on into that pool room. Let me give you a little spill on it." So I did the spill from behind the group.
Hey, was there anything else in Graceland that had to be modified for the museum?
Nothing that I can think of right now. We had to, just kind of resupporting things and that type of thing, but nothing that, that really was anything like,
okay.
Doing the window. But, but we, you had to kind of improvise to make sure that nothing's damaged.
Well, Patsy, thank you so much. I kept you on for so long, honey. It was very nice of you to do this for me.
Oh, it's been great. It's been great. It's been fun to remember it. Everyone's asking me to write a book. I thought, well, maybe I should.
I think it'd be smart. So Thank you very
Yep.
much, Patsy.
Okay, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.